Amy Baxter, editor of Retail Leader, and welcome to Trend Talk. Every week on Trend Talk, we chat with an industry expert about ongoing retail trends and news. My guest this week is Keewa Nurullah, founder of Kido, a kids' toy boutique in Chicago, and we're diving into the labor shortage and its impact on small business. So welcome, Keewa. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Since we're talking so early in 2022, I'm curious what's top of mind for you right now, looking down at the year ahead?
Oh boy. I've really been trying to, I started last year thinking I needed this plan and trying to think of things very methodically to work for our business. But this year has started off very messy, I would say, like coming out of the holidays,
Mm.
especially with staffing. My family, we all had COVID at the end of the year,
Oh,
coming
no.
into this year, and so there's just not that kind of clean break of Happy New Year. Here are my resolutions. So I feel like I'm a little off, but I'm just trying to be nimble and just flexible and not so hard on myself, for having some kind of strict plan for 2022. I have an idea of what I'd like to do, but what I know from last year is that, things don't really happen
Hmm.
as you would like them to all the time. So having a general idea of what I want and then just being really flexible about how I can get that.
Yeah, that's tough. Oh my God. Being nimble, I think, is just like the name of the game right now, anywhere in business. But I
hmm
want to ask you a little bit about the past holiday season. I mean, how did it go? Like, how would you compare last year, 2021 holiday season to 2020 and then maybe pre-pandemic years as well?
Well, I will say that compared to 2020, I felt more prepared in terms of the quantity of people we had, both in the store, physically and online. 2020 was a huge year of growth for us, and so we had
Hmm.
to learn a lot. And the holiday season, I knew I didn't really know what to expect. And so at least this year, I was able to kind of build on the things I had learned during 2020. And so it was a mixture of good and not so great, because the good thing was that compared to 2020, we had so many more customers in the store.
Hmm.
2020, people still weren't really shopping with their kids. Um, it was way more online than in person. So at least this year we got to see our customers, we got to see the kids come in the shop and have those wonderful reactions to seeing the toys and that type of thing. And then also, just for those foot traffic numbers and for our revenue, it was great too. We were pretty much like teetering between 50-50 online and in person, and 60-40, either way. So it was great to know that we can still, even during a pandemic, kind of count on that foot traffic and in person revenue. But then the other, the downside was that in terms of supply chain, we didn't have all the products that we would have liked to. Um, and yeah, and just staffing, we didn't have as much staff as we needed. So we were all just kind of working our little tushies off, just trying to get orders out as quickly as we could so that our customer experience didn't suffer. But of course, that, kind of wears you down and is not the fun part of the business.
Yeah, and tough during the holidays when necessarily you don't want to be working as hard or double what you have to. But retail, it's like, the hot time of the year on top of everything
Yeah,
else. Um,
yeah.
were the staffing issues like related to, we're hearing about the great resignation and lots of people changing careers? Or would you say that Omicron and COVID really had a hit on your staff?
I wouldn't say it was an Omicron yet. Um, Our staffing issues were kind of, uh, one person moved across the country. So, what are you
Hmm.
going to do about that? And then the other person is a parent, a mom, and she was mostly working weekends. And so, if your kid is during at school during the week, and of course on the weekends you want to spend them with their child. So it kind of lasted as long as it could, and then she had to move on. So I'm not sure if either one of those fall into a strict category, but I do think, when
Hmm.
people are making life choices in general, we're making them in a different way. We're prioritizing lifestyle and family and these things, kind of over work, and looking for work that fits in with those priorities.
Yeah, this is a big pandemic trend too, or so I've been hearing that being at home, it gave us all this time to reflect on our values, and then that's now making these big changes in the workforce where they need to suit your values instead of, bending toward corporate culture, and those things are kind of going to be the ways of the past, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, maybe so. I mean, yeah, I think the industries that kind of have it hardest right now are retail, restaurants, and factories. Pretty much,
Hmm.
it's like not just about wages and compensation anymore. It's about just the whole work experience, and people looking out for their mental health and seeing if this work environment is really going to be good for that. And there are all other kind of considerations that people are making now that maybe they didn't before.
Yeah. I'm curious of what were some of the most popular holiday items from last year. I feel like I'm a little bit out of the loop on what's cool with kids these days, but I'm just curious, like what was the hot items from 2021?
Well, we have, I think, yeah, we had kind of two bestsellers. One, we started manufacturing our own puzzles last year.
Oh,
And
cool.
so those were definitely the bestseller for us. We have this super cute little Chicago puzzle that, not only people in the city, but we saw online orders kind of coming in for this puzzle. And so that was definitely our bestseller. And then we had these 3D puzzles that we get from Amsterdam, from overseas. They were included in an article in the New York Times, and they tagged us, as the shop that had them. And so I want to say, starting from September or something, like we've just been getting orders for this puzzle just because of that press. So that's great for us, but that's also something that, when it comes to the beginning of the year or whenever you're budgeting for the holidays, that's something we couldn't really anticipate. So we
Hmm.
actually ran out of them really early, and we're like, what is going on? And then we looked at where the traffic was coming from on the website, like, what? People are ordering this puzzle. And so we had to reorder and then reorder again, but thankfully they were actually one of the suppliers that was all set. And so they, in terms of the supply chain, we were okay in terms of reordering from them, which wasn't the case with everyone, for sure.
Hmm. Oh, that's cool. What were some of the items that were hit by the supply chain constraints?
Oh, we had, I mean, probably too many to name, but we had, a scooter that was really, as soon as we got it in, was really popular during the fall. And then we just weren't able to reorder it. So we actually didn't end up having it for the holidays, which was a bummer because that could have been a high revenue item for us. Um, but because we work mostly with smaller toy manufacturers, like, and small to medium, meaning we don't really carry the same inventory as like the big box stores. So these are more independent toy makers that are making lesser quantities. And so with every single toy maker that we carried, there were certain items that just weren't available or weren't coming back until 2022. So it's hard to say which ones because there were so many, but if we had a
Hmm.
list of 20 toys we ordered from a toy maker, there probably were, in some cases, seven, in some cases half, of our list of toys that just weren't available.
Wow. What do you do in that situation? Do you have to order other things? Like, how do you mitigate those challenges?
Yeah, if it's a toy that serves a certain purpose, that is like a musical item or something that's not specific to that toy maker, then we'll try to find another one made by someone else. I'm super picky in my toy buying, so usually if I pick someone's certain thing, it's because I like that one the best or because I like something about it specifically. Um, so it's hard. If I can't find one that's like good enough for my taste, then I'll just leave it off. But I would, yeah, look at other people's catalogs, see if they were still getting it in. We I scour Instagram, I scour Etsy, just in the chance that there are people who are hand making items in lesser quantities that might be interested in, selling in our shop.